Hello YouTube, this is Johnny. Time to make a video since I think it's been around 22 hours and I don't know when I'll be able to make a video again because tomorrow night my wife is home and we are helping our oldest son and his wife Emily and the little girls, the little daughters, Josie and Cora. They're moving into a house down the street and we're helping them. They moved in their stuff today, furniture company, and I was down there helping our son take boxes throughout the house and set up the crib. And so yeah. So I don't know what tomorrow holds. I told Caleb and Emily that we would watch Cora and Josie, but we'll see. I think Carol's off tomorrow and she's going to watch them Thursday. So that's what it's like to be a grandpa and a grandma. As far as books, as far as today is August the 28th, 2018. Is a Tuesday night here in West Michigan. It has been thundering and lightning, storm, and it is 8:12 at night. I've got the house closed up, central air blowing, listening to some music of Mogwai. As far as my diary, on the 28th of 2018, I ended on page 696. So we should hit 700 by the end of this month. Usually I write around 1,200 pages a year. This morning when I got up, I was feeling somewhat alert this morning, and I read Seeing God, Pacific Vision and Christian Tradition by Hans Boersma. It was a really interesting chapter on Dante's Divine Comedy. The last book is, I think, titled Paradise, and there was a whole chapter looking at Dante in his journey to the vision of God, and it was really very interesting. When I was in seminary, I read the Divine Comedy and I did a big term paper on it. I wrote the paper because I was taking a class, I think it was on Christian spirituality, and I chose Dante's Divine Comedy to do my paper on. I don't know where that paper is. I have to dig it up. I have never thrown away any of my college class notes or any of my seminary class notes. I also have all the notes from the Bible classes I taught when I taught adult Sunday school. Well, it helped. I mean, I didn't do it. I had an elder who helped me. We would alternate. I'd do it for 2 weeks, and then he would do it for 2 weeks, and then I would do it for 2 weeks. I kept all those notes, and I also have, when I first moved to Michigan and I was living at Mel Trotta's rescue mission, I had to give morning devotions or devotions at night, and I have still in a folder all my sermon notes from those days, and that's almost 41 years ago. Also, I have on cassette tape all my Sunday school classes I taped. When I was in seminary, I had to do supply pulpit in churches, and I taped all those sermons, and I have all those downstairs in a big box. I used to, when the kids were growing up, I used to make a cassette tape every month called reality tapes, and I would tape the kids and Carol and different things going on in the house. I did that for about 5 years. I used to tape a lot. I used to have a little portable cassette tape recorder, but I stopped doing that. Now I make videos that nobody really watches. And like I keep online diaries, and I don't know why, because I consider myself an introvert, a shy person. I feel very uncomfortable in crowds and among people I don't know. And yet here I am talking into a camera, downloading videos about my life as a Christian bookworm. So I read Seeing God, the Pacific Vision and Christian Tradition by Hans Boersma. I wrote my diary, and then this morning I had to leave the house to get bird seed. I had to mail a package to our daughter. I bought, I mentioned that Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. I bought that for our granddaughters, our grandchildren there in Denver. And then I put gas in Carol's car. And then I visited thrift stores. And first, yesterday was a Monday, and I told you when I was at the library used bookstore, the Book Nook, I bought $10 worth of used books. I'll show those. I bought these by John McPree. He has written a ton of books, and I collect them. And I've never read him, but he's always kind of fascinated me, his books. And so I found 3 of them. One I already had, Basins and Ridge. And it says here, Basin and Ridge is the first book in a series on geology and geologists, presenting a cross-section of North America along the 40th parallel, gathering under an overtitle Annuals of the Former World. The second and third book in the series is Suspect Terrain, Rising from the Plains. See, here's Rising of the Plains. I have this one already. I'll show you what I have by John McPree. I have all these. And he's wrote a ton of books. Pieces of the Frame by John McPree. I've shown these in a previous video. The John McPree Reader, La Place in La Dog, Conquered Suicide by McPree, Coming into the Country, Rising from the Plains. See, I have 2 of these. I'll take this one to the Book Nook Friday when I volunteer. What else I have? Rising from the Plain, The Control of Nature, Looking for a Ship. This is the John McPree Reader, the Pine Barrens and Oranges. So I can add 2 more to my John McPree collection. Someday I'll get around to reading them. So I got those at the Book Nook. This book looked kind of interesting. It was in the comedy section. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Catelyn Daltrey. She was armed with a degree in medieval history and a flair for the macabre. Catelyn Daltrey took a job at a crematory and turned a fascination with death into her life's work. She cared for bodies of every color, shape, and affliction, and became an intrepid explorer in the world of the dead. Just kind of fascinating. And then I found this Italian detective novel, just translated into English. It's called My Mother-in-Law Drinks by Diego de Silva. And this is translated. I collect this in the Europea. I collect Europea editions. I have a huge stack of them down the lower level, so I got that. And then I picked up The Marsh Arabs by Wilfred Thrasinger. It's a Penguin classic. Between 1951 and 1958, Wilfred Thrasinger spent several months of each year living among the tribal marsh Arabs of southern Iraq. He wrote this book about. Then I collect books on rivers. This is Old Man River, the Mississippi River in North American History by Paul Schlesinger. The American Heiress The Wild Saga of the Kidnapping, Crimes, and Trial of Patty Hearst by Jeffrey Toobin. And then I bought this big, huge art book, The Sistine Chapel, The Art, History, and Restoration. I don't know, there's a chapter in here called The Theology Behind Michelangelo's Ceiling that looked pretty interesting. So, I don't know, the Sistine Chapel, I have biographies on Michelangelo and books on Renaissance art, and so it's only $3. So I got that, and also I picked up at the Book Nook the series Jazz. It was a PBS series, a film by Ken Burns. A while back I had picked up the book based on the PBS series, Jazz, A History of American Music. So now I have the DVDs and I have the book. I've always wanted to get into jazz. If I had a lot of money and a good turntable, I would really get into jazz. I also picked up at the Book Nook a couple weeks ago The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen, winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 2016. The Sympathizer. Picked up this nature book, Ravens in Winter. It's about ravens by Brian Hendrick. I like nature books. I like birds. See, he did all the illustrations in there. Really nice illustrations of birds. I love birds. As I said, we feed birds. I take photographs of birds, and so I'll add this to our nature writing collection. At a thrift store today, I bought Gay Telley's novel Unto the Suns. This is a trilogy. The first one, I'm gonna start collecting. I showed you I bought at a used book sale lately the Gay Telley's Reader, but I have other books by him, The Kingdom and the Power. I have his autobiography, A Writer's Life, and I have some other books by him. So I'm gonna start collecting the trilogy. This is the second in the trilogy. I think the first one is The Neighbor's Wife, and then Honor Thy Father. So I have to find those. And then I was reading this afternoon, Pinkerton's Sister by Peter Rushforth. I was reading this when my son called for me to come down and help him today when he was moving. I picked up, this I have already. I collect Hilary Mandel. This is her novel, A Change of Climate. I have this already, so this will go to the Book Nook Friday. I picked up this biography, The Royal Affair, George III and His Scandalous Siblings by Stella Tollard. I like 18th century biography, and I've been collecting the British monarchy, and so it was only 50 cents. And then I found this history of a Confederate raider during the Civil War, C. Grade, The Around the World Odyssey of the Confederate Raider Shenandoah by Tom Chifflin. I have a huge collection of the Civil War, going back when we lived in Mississippi and I was going to seminary. We got really into the Civil War, or the War of Northern Aggression. And then I picked up this book, Faith and Power, The Politics of Islam by Edward Mortimer. It looked really interesting. I wanted to read about the Middle East is always in the news. And I collect books on writing manuals and grammar. I found this, the New York Times Manual of Style and Usage. And then I picked up this biography, Useless Frontier, Vannevar Bush, Engineer of the American Century by J. Pascal Zachary. I never heard of this man, but he was really involved in the behind the atom bomb in the Second World War. He was, I don't know, it just looked interesting. It's only 50 cents. So those are the books I got at the Book Nook at thrift stores, what I'm reading. It's just, now I can put all this stuff down on the lower level and make room for more stuff. It's amazing what you find at thrift stores and at the Book Nook every week. I just got these this week. I think I spent, maybe $20 for all these books. Something to occupy your mind as you're waiting for the second coming of Christ, and as you see the world declining, all the decadence, what you call it, all the lawlessness. You ever thought about, you hear all these statistics about how many people are in prisons in the United States, and some of it could be lack of all kinds of reasons, but you think that behind all that imprisonment is lawlessness, just people being lawless, and all this gun violence and all this hatred, white supremacy and racism and all the mess along the Mexican and the United States border, and this immigration crisis, and you look at the Civil War and slavery and how we treated the American Indians, all the violence and the lawlessness, and how we are destroying the earth, and global warming, and how we are just neglecting Puerto Rico, and how we are neglecting, just goes on, and all these mass shootings and people carrying guns and road rage, and we're just all this lawlessness, and where is the peace? Where is loving our neighbor? Where is I know it's out there, because those things don't get in the news. All those little acts of kindness, and neighbors bringing food to people who are sick, or it just goes on and on and on. I know I could list all the things I know that are going in Holland, Michigan to help people, but it's just so much lawlessness. So tonight, I don't know what I'm going to read. I was really enjoying reading Pinkerton's Sister. Like I said, this is a reread, or I'm finishing it. I'll probably read this tonight. Put these books down the lower level, do some laundry, and it is 8:29 at night. It's too early to go to bed. And yeah, so I'll reload or download this video, and feel free to ask me questions if you want to know about these books or these writers. As I've said, that I list these books in my online diary, Crookedfingers, and I like interacting with people who subscribe to me. Now, I don't always have the answers. I always don't know, but I'll make an effort. So I'll sign off. Hope you're all doing well, having a good week. And until next time, bye.